the man found himself at an end. Not an end per se of the road, but of the road he was on. He was on quite a different road than anybody else. He was fleeing himself. He wasn't sure exactly where to turn, but something inside told him that this was in fact the end. It was difficult at first to come to that conclusion, but eventually it came, and it came with a very scary finality. He told himself, perhaps this is the end, and he came across the edge, not just the edge of the road, but the edge of his life. He stood there, gazing over the bridge. He had come to it without knowing. He was not conscious for most of the walk he was on, a walk which had lasted nearly half a day. He just couldn't turn back. Turning back was, well, turning back was suicide. Turning back was going back to everything he had known, everything he had wished to escape. And he could not go there. Never again. So he looked across the ocean. It was beautiful, but on this particular day, he looked up and he saw that the rain was just starting. The thunder was coming. The storm had yet to begin. His life was a storm. But, he thought to himself, if this is truly where I am meant to be, why is the storm coming now? I have felt the storm the past 5 years. My wife is no longer alive. My friends have moved far away. I don't know what I'm supposed to do anymore, he thought for quite a while. I don't know if I'm supposed to go back or stay right here, my feet firmly planted on the ground, a statue to fate. He was not sure whether looking at the water was comforting. Finally coming to the end, was that comforting? He wasn't sure. Nobody looks forward to the end of anything. Perhaps a bad party, sure. Perhaps a bad film, sure. But something that was a combination of the two, something that was a combination of good and bad, that was mixed. Something quite mixed. What he did know for sure was that fate was on his side. Fate would decide. He was not the one that could decide. He was just a mere plaything of the moment, most of the time his enemy. But today, he knew it to be his friend, a lost friend. And so he looked across the water, and he climbed onto the railing. He looked across the horizon. Not a boat or a ship in sight. Normally the ocean had been full of them. Normally they had just been coming back and forth, to and fro. But he decided today was different. Today they would leave him alone to make his choice. So he looked down. The wind began to pick up. He had to steady himself. "Oh," he said. The wind carried away any notion of sound, any notion of feeling. It just was. Finally he looked down, and he said, Perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps this is not the way to go. Perhaps I can go back. Because if I go back, I won't necessarily be going back to the exact same thing. I can decide if it's different. I can decide if when I go back, it's going to be something. And so, he turned around, and he made the movement to take a step down and continue on to the path that he had just come from. But, before he knew it, the wind picked up, and the storm roared, and he heard off in the distance, though he did not see, the horn, the loud, blazing, siren horn of a ship. It was not there for him, but it was there, though he could not see it, and with a startle, his hat flew off, and soon he felt something hit him, though he did not know what. No one was around, but something did hit him, and he fell. He fell.